Okay.
Hello everybody and welcome back to JoyClicks. My name is Christian, and after the Sony press conference last night, we have some interesting things to talk about, but first and foremost, I really want to talk about Spider-Man. So this year, to close out the show, Sony decided to end with a Spider-Man gameplay demo. Just like last year, we see Spider-Man going through a scenario. This time he is infiltrating the raft with his partner in crime, or partner in stopping crime, I should say, Yuri, in effort to stop several supervillains from breaking out of the raft, the high security prison that is so prominent in the Marvel universe. So at the beginning we see Electro taking down the helicopter that Spidey is flying in on with Yuri. The helicopter crashes, causing them to get into the raft. They are greeted by Electro, who shot them down so gracefully, and that is where our gameplay demo begins. So overall, this demo gave us a bit more of what we saw last year with the Spider-Man gameplay demo. We see more of the combat, we see more of the Arkham style dodging, parrying, but what's more interesting to me in this combat than Arkham's is the fact that you have sort of a combo meter building up. I know you have a combo meter in the Arkham games. The one in this is very reminiscent of a fighting game to me for some reason. It's a different take on the Arkham combat in that you're building up a meter you can use to have special weapons and special Spider-Man moves you could do. I know Arkham does something very similar. I think it works better in this case with Spider-Man just because of how agile he is. And the traversal as well is just fantastic. The best thing about this trailer though is the fact that we get to see so many villains introduced into Spider-Man's world. I know some people were worried that we are only going to be dealing with Mr. Negative, but that is not the case, as is titled in the video. The Sinister Six make an appearance. 5 out of 6 that is. We have Rhino, Electro, Scorpion so far in the trailer that we've been going over. I'm gonna get to the others once we get there, but it's great to see Matt Gargan in here. I love Scorpion, he's so underrated. Same goes for Rhino, I've always liked him. I think he's a great video game boss. And here we get to see more of the Spider-Man combat, and like I said, I think it works better than Arkham just because of the agility and movement that Spider-Man has because of his character and because of his superpowers. The spider sense mid-combat makes perfect sense contextually, and I really dig that. The game just looks like it feels good to play. Electro has a cool design too. This is the first we get to see him. I really like how he has these scars on his face where his mask would be in the comics, grounds him more in reality. Once we exit the raft though, we get to see way more awesome traversal. I love how this game looks traversal wise. Spider-Man is always free-flowing and full of movement and agility, and it looks like we're getting exactly what we deserve out of the Spider-Man game. So in this last cutscene that closes out the trailer, I really want to touch on the visual fidelity of this game. My god, it looks amazing. All the character designs, especially Rhino. I love the way Rhino looks in this game. Spider-Man's suit, the details, the rain, and how it reflects off of his suit. Scorpion looks so good. He looks like a perfect realization of a cartoon character. They all do. The Sinister Six is one of the baddest groups in comic books. Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is one of my favorites in comics. It rivals Batman's. So here towards the end we have what is probably the most badass moment of this entire demonstration. We see Spider-Man holding his own against this team of baddies, which is really impressive. We know Spider-Man is 8 years into his career. I love this part of the demo so much because it is true unfiltered Spider-Man to its core, which is so much of the reason I'm so excited for this game. No ifs, ands, or buts, this is just pure Spider-Man. But there's a turning point in this fight where he ends up getting his ass handed to him, which I always love to see. I like having the hero beaten down so he can rise back up. But here at the end, we have the mystery reveal, the tease, the cliffhanger, if you will. Something rises from the bottom of the raft, looks into Spider-Man. Spider-Man looks up at it. He looks in shock. His eyes widen on his suit, and he says, "You?" So, people are speculating who this you is. I think something like Green Goblin, even Hobgoblin, or Doc Ock is a little too obvious for that to be who it is, since they're not really showing who it is. We already know that Norman Osborn is in the game because of a previous gameplay trailer from E3 a couple years ago where we saw Osborn running for mayor. So I don't think it's Green Goblin. I don't really think it's Doc Ock, even though that would complete the Sinister Six lineup that most of us are familiar with. I also don't think it's Venom, because the way that the trailer framed that reveal was that that is the person who is in charge of this whole breakout. They are the one that planned it, and Venom is not typically that kind of character. My immediate thought as a whoa, holy crap twist they could throw in here would be Iron Man. Maybe Tony Stark has some vendetta against Spider-Man in this game, and that's why Spider-Man is so surprised. He looks up at Tony Stark in shock, seeing he is the one who set this whole thing up. The Tony Stark that we know and are familiar with from the MCU would never do something like this, but this is comics, this is Insomniac's world. They could easily do something new and exciting with the character, but that is just me speculating. This is probably not true. It's probably one of the famous Spider-Man villains, or maybe a new character, maybe someone we're not that familiar with, maybe someone who doesn't get the spotlight they deserve a lot of the time in Spider-Man media outside of the comic books. Maybe it's Kraven, maybe it's Silver Sable, who knows. But overall, I was really impressed with what we saw out of this gameplay demonstration for Spider-Man. It seems like a kick-ass story mission. I wonder if this opens up the game, and this is sort of establishing the world we're going to be living in Spider-Man. Maybe we start the game off with all the villains breaking out of the raft, and the point of the game is to capture all of the villains who escaped the raft, and the ones that Spidey has spent 8 years of his career putting behind bars. I think that kind of plot line also opens up the opportunity for DLC in the future for different villains. Maybe we get a Venom DLC, which would be awesome. Drop that in October right for Halloween, make it really creepy. But I digress. I cannot wait for Spider-Man. This game, seeing it on my big screen, really convinced me. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy a PS4 Pro before this game comes out. I might get one this week when it's on sale, because hot damn, this game deserves to be played on the biggest screen I can find in the highest fidelity possible, because it looks so visually impressive. I'm a big fan of Insomniac. I love the work they've done, and it looks like they're finally giving Spider-Man the game he deserves in 2018. So that's going to do it for this Spider-Man PS4 video. I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero there is. Be sure to keep it locked on JoyClicks for more E3 coverage later in the day. We got Nintendo coming up in just a few hours, and I've got a Spider-Man video breakdown all about the open world gameplay we saw after the PlayStation conference ended. Comment down below, let me know what your take is on Spider-Man. Are you excited for Spider-Man? Is this game going to get you to buy a PlayStation 4 if you don't own one? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and share the video with your friends so we can grow JoyClicks into the community where we can all just geek out about Spider-Man together like we all should. If you're new to JoyClicks though, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss any of the rest of our E3 content coming out and everything else on the channel. I'm so grateful for all the support I've been getting on the channel over the past few days for E3, so thank you all for watching, and as always, good vibes and good game.